So as we prepare for this Civil War week, it's you can feel the excitement already. Actually, we could probably feel the excitement over the New Year holiday after we played Pan American. So, but it feels like the guys are ready for some action. So, looking forward to it. Looking forward to Beaver Nation being out there, and we're looking forward to getting the conference season started. So with that, why don't I just open it up for questions?
Coach, how important do you feel the Towson game is going to be as a wake-up call?
I feel that the Towson game is and will continue to be extremely important for us. I talked about our team trying to have more confidence, and I never imagined that we could go into a game overconfident, and I thought we did. I thought we got up to a lead, and we sort of tried to coast our way through it, thinking about the next game or the next couple of games, especially since it's a Civil War game. And it was very good that we had a little wake-up call. And I got to tell you, the practice that we had after that game might have been one of the best practices we've had in 2 weeks. So I guess that would be a lesson learned.
Did you have to tell the guys very much after that, or was the lesson?
No, I said what I wanted to say from a frustration level point after the game. And then I was preparing to have a whole practice of this is why this happens, but they came out so ready that I had to reconfigure how I was going to approach them. I mean, they really came out aggressively, a lot of communication on defense, a lot of energy for the day after and the day before a game. So I had a feeling that the Pan American game would go the way it went, just based on how we had practice and shoot around before that game.
Did you also get a good feeling from some of the older guys taking more of a leadership role from that at this point?
You know, I think the person yes, the answer to that, John, is yes. The veterans of the team sort of took it upon themselves to get the team ready for practice, get them ready for that next game. But I will say that Ahmad Starks went out of his way to try and sort of to be accountable for the 4 games before, including the Towson game and the 3 games prior to that, where he didn't play very well, and almost put it all on his shoulders, which I would never let him do that, because it wasn't just his fault. But he really was feeling like he was letting the team down because he wasn't getting the production he had been getting. So it was really nice to see that from a team standpoint. And it was also nice to see him have the game he had after that.
Coach, how important is it three-point shooting for you guys just to be able to kind of stretch the floor?
You know, it's really important, Phil. This is the first time it's been important to us, or been effective, I should say. It's always important. This is just effective. And I tell you, I try not to pay attention to a lot of the stats, and I just recently realized that we were doing so well from vis-a-vis the rest of the guys in the conference. But it's also helped us open up our points in the paint. I mean, you know, we score a lot of points in the paint, but it's because guys have to stay close to Roberto and Ahmad. And if we can get to a point where that's a real weapon for us, not just sort of an adjunct strategy, I think we could be dangerous.
And from a matchup point of view, how much of a nightmare is Eric Moreland going to be for some of these guys?
Well, I hope he's just the absolute nightmare. I mean, you know, because we're playing against a team that's got a guy who's similar from a matchup standpoint. The Arsalan kid he's just a rebounding machine, and to have somebody on your side to combat that is really, really good. And now he'll have to guard Eric just as much as we have to figure out how to guard him.
For Eric, how much of it is a focus type of thing, where each night he can do so much, but sometimes he doesn't really?
You know, he is not, to his credit, he's not trying to be Mr. Double-Double, which is why I think he's been able to be Mr. Double-Double. I think when you try to do things like that, it's hard to it's hard to stay focused on what the overall goal of the team is because you're so focused on your individual stats. He's not like that at all. He's just trying to play hard for as long as he can and help us win games. But what he is focused on is helping this team.
When you look at the Ducks, I mean, what did you see from them?
Man, you know, almost a mirror image of ourselves from a statistical standpoint, and the way they were going about winning games. They're very different from what they've done in the past, and I think that this game is going to be. It's going to come down to who can do their best at executing what they do well, which is something that Coach Altman's been very good at since he's been at Oregon, and also been he was that way at Creighton. So we're really focusing on our stuff. Let's execute our game plan. Let's execute our offense the best way possible, and then you just play.
Civil War right off the bat. Some guys said they maybe would like to have it later this season, but it is right off the top. What about you?
Doesn't matter. You have to play it anyway. I think it's great for the fans. So the only thing I would, as long as we get the same kind of student participation, because it's the night before classes, so we should. But that would be the only thing I'd say is I wouldn't want the students to miss out on such a great event for both schools. And but I don't mind playing it the first game. I don't mind playing them again the last game. I think that's a cool way of doing it too.
In terms of playing in a game like this, obviously it means more rivalry game. For them, they play a few more freshmen. Do you feel like the experience you guys have when you eventually playing in this is an advantage at all?
I hadn't thought of that. I hope it will be. I'm trying, and I'm pausing because I was thinking back to when I was a freshman in this league, and or a freshman coach. I had no idea what that meant. So no matter how many times people told me how important that game was and what a spectacle that it is, I could not imagine it. So hopefully their freshmen won't be able to imagine it until it's too late. But I'm sure their teammates are doing a lot to get them prepared for it. So I know our guys are. Our guys are getting our freshmen prepared for it. But I tell you, man, when I first got here, I had no idea how big of a game this was throughout the state. And it really took me 2 years. That second year, I really knew it. Because after you do it for a year and you walk around the state for a whole year and you listen to people who have the bragging rights or don't have the bragging rights, you realize how important of a game this is for everybody.
You mentioned Kazemi. What else strikes you about that team?
Oh, man. Even though those guards are freshmen, they're good. You can never underestimate E.J. Singler. I think he's just had a terrific career, terrific player. Can do a lot of things for your team, both offensively and defensively. I think they've got great coaching. They're scoring the ball at a high clip, a lot of transition baskets this season. So again, that's more like what we're doing. So I think they're a very dangerous team. They have been through the wars a little bit with UNLV already, and UTEP. So they've had some sort of environmentally tough games.
You got 10 wins before the conference play starts. Did you see you getting that many? Are you surprised?
So here's how we looked at it. I won't give you a cliche answer because this is how we look at it every year. You don't even think about it until you get your schedule done. Then you get your schedule, and then you look through that non-conference and see what are the likelies and unlikelies. And to be absolutely, completely honest with you, we knew we were playing in a tougher tournament this year than we did last year, but it was tough for us last year. We never thought we would split. We'd hoped we would split. This time we came in, we were thinking the first two games are much harder than the first two games last year, but we have to win those. Then let's say you split again, and then the Kansas game you don't think you necessarily win. You just want to play well. And then the rest of the games are all winnable, but you always have a slip-up game. So we were thinking 10-3. but then you play better than, see, even though we split in New York, I thought we played better than I thought we'd play. Then we come back and have a good Montana State game. Then we play a great game in a loss, pretty good game against Kansas. So then I'm thinking 11-2, you know. So that's how your thinking changes. So when we were sitting in the locker room at 9-3, mad at ourselves, we had to recalibrate and say, listen, we're 9-3. And be excited about trying to be 10-3, which was right where we started. So there's a roller coaster that gets you right to where you thought you'd be. You just wish you didn't have that roller coaster.
You talk about Eric Moreland. Is he maybe been the guy that's most surprised you over this first few weeks here?
I got to tell you, the guy who surprised me the most is Jamal Reed. I never thought any of those freshmen would get in the game, let alone be starters. I know what you mean by Eric, but I see Eric every day, and it was just a matter of time before Eric figured out who Eric was, and I think that's what's happened. Eric understands who he is and can be more aggressive at being that guy. But I tell you, Jamal is I trust him on defense, which is important for a coach before you get any kind of chance. I mean, you know, if you look at Olaf Schaftenar, I trust that shot. But that's about all I trust right now because he's just a freshman and he's learning. Jamal, I trust his defense, and I trust him taking care of the basketball and understanding the game. So that's been a big surprise. I thought he would help us. I didn't think he'd be starting.
So you're going to stick with him in the starting lineup and leave Devon off the bench?
As of right now, I don't know. I might know as we get closer, but I like Devon coming off the bench, you know, and I was just on the phone before I came down to talk to you guys, and somebody, once again, starting to make me think I should be paying more attention to these stats, but nationally, he is the second leading scoring sixth man in the country, with the guy who's first is a kid from Texas Tech, but the guy who's third is the kid from Syracuse, Sutherland, who is really good. So I really like Devon coming off the bench.
Do you feel comfortable with the rotation you got going right now?
I do. I feel like I really got a handle on who's coming in for who, how much time they're probably going to play if there's not any foul trouble. And then I got a couple of freshmen that I have in my back pocket that I can throw in there that I feel absolutely comfortable in putting in.
How much did that change when Angus went down? Because you're trying to do that anyway, and then you lose such a
On the fly, yeah. John, that's a very good point. I had it figured out in my head coming back from Europe and thinking this is probably the way it's going to be. And then we have a few games with Angus, and then I'm starting to get in the groove, and then Angus goes down. So I had to redo it all over. And I would say I'm probably just now really feeling comfortable with the post-Angus rotation.
Do you think maybe that there's might be something to Eric stepping up, being a little bit more assertive offensively because of Angus?
Oh, absolutely. I think you're seeing everybody after the first wave of shock that Angus wouldn't be with us, everybody on that team knew they had to step their levels up. Now, offensively, I said replacing Jared wouldn't be a problem because I thought we could manage that with the pieces we had, but that included Angus. And with Angus having been such a prolific, I mean, you know, he was almost a double-double guy. I mean, he was close to 7 or 8 rebounds. I can't remember. So we had to figure out how we were going to place not only his scoring but his rebounding. I think Eric has done his share of that, and Joe has done his share of that. So it's been knock wood. It's working out so far.
You're looking back at that New York tournament and then the Kansas game. How much is that going to help heading into the atmosphere you're going to see?
Oh, it's going to be great. You know, we've played in a few big games now, in different types of atmospheres. So I think we're going to be fine there. But where I thought you were going, Phil, with that was you look back in hindsight at the 3 games you lose. You're talking, even though I thought we played poorly in the Towson game. The other games, I thought we didn't play that poorly. We're 5 possessions from being undefeated. I mean, if this team isn't confident enough about their defense, that right there should let them know, we're a pretty darn good team, and we should play like a pretty darn good team.
Scale of 1 to 10, where would you put your defense right now?
7. Yeah.
You mentioned getting one more stop every game.
4 more.
4 more.
Yeah. It's close. It's just that 4 more stops don't do you any good if they're at the wrong part of the game, or you can't do them when you want to do them. So, I think we've gotten to where we're making more stops a game like we wanted to do. Now we have to be able to make those stops when we want to make them. When we decide, okay, we need to stop a team 3 times in a row so that we can pull away, or stop them 3 times in a row so we can get back in it, can we do it? That's the reconfigured goal now.
I know you said earlier it didn't matter when you play Oregon, but could you use it as a way that maybe, the intensity is going to be ratcheted up as much as possible? Could that maybe set a tone as you go into Pac-12 play at all?
The game itself?
Yeah, just being so
Oh, listen,
intense as it's going to get.
the game itself is almost incomparable to any other game during the season, even though we do play other conference games. This game is just, you want to win this game for all kinds of reasons, but it's still the first game of 18 games, right? Or 18 conference games. I mean, so from that standpoint, you don't want to make too much or too little out of it. But this game's going to have enough intensity in itself to just be exciting on its own. And then, after the fact, when we find out what happens, we'll see how much of an effect it has on the future.
A couple weeks ago, in terms of getting those 4 more stops, you talked about the focus of the players being the fact behind that. Has the focus improved in your eyes, or is it still holding back?
No. Our focus is very much on defense. Even though I know we're such a prolific scoring team, we are always conscious of that, because it's knowing your weakness. Because right now that's our weakness, and I think the guys are concentrating on communicating more. They're concentrating on their slides. They're concentrating on rebounding, all the stuff that goes into being a good defensive team. They know that going into every single game, so the focus is there. Now it comes down to confidence and execution. Or execution and confidence.
In the non-conference, did your freshmen play enough where you feel confident, other than Reed, to get out?
Yeah, they did. As a matter of fact, I told them that the other day. I said, I am now at the point where I feel confident putting any of you 4 guys in the game. Or the other 3, other than Jamal, obviously, I felt confident in putting him in. And that's a good feeling for a coach to have. And believe me, I would not have said that to him if I wasn't trying to trick him into doing something better. I really do feel that for stretches of time, I can put those guys in when we need them.
At the beginning of the year, you said defense would be why they would get in. Are you more confident with those guys' offense?
Oh, yeah, but the reason why I'm confident, because I know they can go in and defend. And we don't necessarily need their offense in order to win games, but we certainly will need their defense too.
Any surprises on what you've seen around the rest of the conference, or do you have time to look at?
Yeah, I really haven't had time to look at much. Obviously, I'm excited that Arizona is in the top 10, top 5. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping that Oregon would even be ranked, because I think the more teams we have ranked, the better it is for all of us. So I was hoping that Oregon would get ranked there toward the end of the non-conference, as well as Colorado. I was thinking those would be the 3 teams once UCLA dropped out. It's good to see UCLA playing well, and again, it's great for us because I think we're right up there with those teams. We can play with those teams. But, before this year, we would go into the conference season hoping we could play with these teams. I know we can play with them. Now we just have to execute and play with them. So that's why I'm excited to get more of those teams being better, because I think that rising tide will help all of us come the end of the season.
Coach was talking to some of the players up there about New Year's resolutions. Burrow said for you, he'd like for you to not yell at him as much. Do you have resolutions for your guys?
Now, see, Steve, I know you're new now because you've fallen into the Roberto Nelson trap. Because Roberto knows that I don't have New Year's resolutions, nor does he. So he was just pulling your leg there. But I'm glad I can yell at Roberto, because that means he's doing enough to be in the game that I can yell at him. But no, I don't have any New Year's resolutions. We just, on a daily basis, we're trying to get better at being ball players, people, every single day. So to have a New Year's resolution for that, it's a little unnecessary.
No, I meant for your players as individuals, for what they do on the court.
Yeah, they all know what's expected of them. So we hold them accountable from now until they leave. So every day we want them to be doing all the right things. So, but you know, this team is a team that when I'm getting on them, it's after they've gotten on themselves. They all know this is a pretty savvy basketball IQ team. It's really fun to be around these guys on a daily basis.
Any update on Angus or Daniel long-term?
Nah, not really. Both are going well, but it's too early to get too excited about it. But Daniel's home for vacation, or not home, but he's in Idaho for vacation, so he's due back here shortly. And Angus has been here, and I've talked to both and seen Angus, and they both are in great spirits. So I think that's 2/3 of the battle right there.
Has it been made official if he can get that medical, or?
No, I don't think you do it until the season's over. So you can't really be official, but from our compliance office and from what I've seen around the country, when a guy, as long as he wasn't past the threshold of games, if he was past the 30% threshold, then we really would not know, and we wouldn't be confident in saying it. But I think given his where he was from a playing standpoint, the games played standpoint, and where he is academically, I think he's got a very good shot at getting that year back.
Coach, is there some significance in your view how much for Ahmad to talk to the team after the Towson game and take some accountability and responsibility and then go out and play the way he did? I mean, how important is that?
It's really important, Mike, because one of the weaknesses of this team, if I had to pick one other than the fact that we have to always be focused defensively, is that our team leadership is Angus, and he's not out there. And Ahmad stepping up as a younger player trying to do that is terrific. And these guys like each other, so they're not the types to really get on each other like a lot of teams have. So Ahmad taking responsibility and accountability for his play, or lack thereof in his mind, is a great leadership step for him, and it helps the team too. It helps them sort of come together and rally around him. And the practice that we had after he had his meeting with the team, every shot he put up, you could feel it was as if the crowd of the team was rooting for that shot to go in. So it's been amazing to see, and I think it's going to help us in the long run.
Quick thought on EJ Singler. What makes him so dangerous? Is it the shooting? Is it ability?
Oh, I think it's his all-around game. He's an all-around basketball player, and he's a tough kid on top of it. So, he can shoot from outside well. He's probably shooting close to 40% three-point. He can shoot a mid-range shot. He can get to the basket. He can get to the foul line. He can get you some rebounds. It's just he's a dangerous player not to have on your team.
I know the Ducks are pretty concerned about turnovers right now. Is that something that you can look at to kind of force the issue with?
Well, we always are trying to force turnovers, as you know. We're trying to lead the league in steals and getting people to turn the ball over. So certainly that won't change in our game plan. That it? Thank you, guys.